o'clock, so I'd ask councillors, I'd ask staff to correct the clock on the wall, and I'd ask, according to my Vodafone New Zealand, it's 10 o'clock, everyone to take their seats, and we will begin. Morena, good morning everybody, and welcome to our first Finance and Performance meeting for the year. We have apologies on council business from Councillor Watson, who's attending another council meeting regarding the Whangaparoa area water supply. You'll be aware that, of course, we've got some water issues up his way. Councillors Cashmore, Darby and Hills for lateness on council business as well, and for IMSB member Blair for lateness. Do I have a seconder for those apologies, please? Thank you, Deputy Chair. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest. I just remind you all of this clause. If anyone has any declarations of interest, please advise me. Right, thank you. Move on. As this is an extraordinary meeting, we have no petitions, we have no public input, so we have no local board input. Extraordinary items. Nothing has been raised, so let's move straight to item 7, which is the adoption of the consultation material, and we welcome both Kylie and Ross to address us this morning. Thank you. Kylie, you first.
Okay,
oh no, Ross.
I'll start. Okay, so this item is about adopting the consultation materials for the annual budget. So, as you recall, the items that you agreed to consult on, those were agreed just before Christmas. So since then, staff have gone away, prepared all of the documentation. It's been workshopped, feedback incorporated, and I asked Kai to kind of provide a bit more detail about that in a minute. As you recall, some of the key items included in the annual budget are some changes to waste management targeted rates to make sure that we're recovering a fair and appropriate amount of that cost from the right people that use the service. There's changes to the septic pump out targeted rate, so that's continuing that service for the Waitaku Rangers local board, discontinuing it for the other two local boards, and making sure again that the costs there are met by the people that receive the services. There's also changes to how we charge for swimming pool inspections to make sure that we keep swimming pools safe from kids to prevent drownings. People already pay for that through a user charge, and the proposal is to switch how it's paid for through to a targeted rate. Also some changes to fees and charges, largely restructuring how those fees are charged, so it's provides more certainty for customers up front to know what they will pay, so when they pay deposits it's closer to the final charge are likely to occur, and a few adjustments in new fees, things like the scooter licensing deposit fee and an international visitor charge for the Botanic Gardens. So those are the items that have been discussed, agreed, workshopped, and today is really just about approving the documentation that goes alongside them. So I'll ask Kylie just to talk a bit about the documentation and the process there.
Thanks, Ross. So like Ross said, last week we workshopped the consultation document and supporting information, and you requested some changes, which has been reflected in the table of changes of about 2.5 pages that was added to the addendum agenda yesterday, along with the updated consultation material. The notable topics that were edited were 2 changes to the responding to our climate emergency, 3 changes to waste management targeted rates in the consultation document, and a further 4 within the supporting information, and 1 change to how we charge for pool fence inspections. Also, could you note that the summary of the Te Puna Maunga draft operational plan was added into the supporting information following the adoption of the authority adopting this on Monday this week. So happy to answer any questions of any of the consultation material.
Right, we're open for questions. Councillor Walker.
Just for clarity, Madam Chair, I raised a few very minor changes. I'm assuming they've been incorporated. I haven't had a chance to look at the...
My understanding, Councillor, is all the changes that you've requested have been incorporated.
Wonderful, that's great. The other question I've got is just around the consultation itself, particularly as it goes to the CCO review that's happening at the same time. When is the appropriate time for me to raise questions around that?
Ross?
It's the third item on the agenda. Item
Yeah.
9 talks about the consultation.
So we're just
process.
doing the material at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had the benefit of the workshop last week, which I was grateful for, and I raised then the concern that I've got with the consultation material on the Te Puna Manga Authority, the level of detail that might be required. There is a judicial review underway. The Integrated Management Plan is a relatively high-level document, so we are relying extensively on the consultation that we are going to undertake to agree to whatever range of activities. To that end, I would like to know how many trees are going to be felled, particularly oak trees, or I'd like a breakdown to be included in this operational plan, because as we know, we have an integrated management plan. From that, the Te Puna Manga Authority work through their own operational plan, and it is that plan that we're going up for consultation for at the moment. So I wonder whether we could have we know in advance that there are going to be matters that are controversial, and it's, as I discussed with some of the councillors last week who were present here for the workshop, we would like to feel that the consultation has covered those matters that the public would have an interest in. And I don't want to be in the position of this time next year saying, oh, well, you know, it was unanimously agreed, we all agreed to this operational plan, this is what it entails, and we've funded it accordingly. I just wonder whether there is a better level of specificity for what is actually contained with regards to those individual manga, because for different communities there will be different responses. I do not want to see us in the situation of seeing another judicial review next year where people said, well, we didn't know. And then the council officers coming back and saying, oh, well, there was this consultation process. To what degree, when we were undertaking that consultation process, did we give them that information last year? I don't know. And that's going to be for the court to determine. But I want to know today, and I believe I have a responsibility as a decision maker sitting around this council table, I want more detailed information on the operational plan to be included in this consultation in order for it to have integrity and in order for it to satisfy what I believe is the intention of genuine consultation.
Right, who's going to answer that? The councillor could summarise it. My understanding is the councillor is asking if the operational plan that's included in the consultation material for the Te Puna Manga Authority could have a clearer outline of what trees are being removed from what manga. So, Mr. Wilson.
Through the chair, we would have to direct that back to the Manga Authority, who has already approved the operational plan, its operational plan for those consultation purposes.
So may I see the detail of that operational plan? Is that available to me today? I'm expected to vote on this. I would like to have the information on this.
Yes, the operational plan is available.
It was circulated after, it's Tuesday morning, I think. After
Yes, it was, but it doesn't include the level of detail that I'm actually asking for.
Right. My understanding from staff, they're saying it's under the GB agenda. May I ask that you hold that question for the governing body, because that's the final adoption. If you remember how this goes, we do one bit here, goes to governing body, and we will do some work between now and the GB to answer your question.
I would be grateful if my questions could be answered, because I don't believe they are unreasonable questions. I am a great supporter of the Te Puna Manga Authority, but I am not a supporter of misleading in any way what might be matters that could be viewed to be controversial.
So, councillor, may I ask Mr. Wilson to he's listened to the question, I'm sure, and we will have an answer back for you in the next meeting. Is that all right? Thank you. I don't believe there are any other further questions. Oh, sorry, Councillor Newman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and I'm comfortable with supporting Councillor Fletcher's request, but can I just understand in relation to key steps for the annual budget? I'm just looking at the table, para 20, the for key steps, and I've also tried to have a quick look through at item 9. What is the date for the discussion or the presentation of submissions and feedbacks from key stakeholders? It's not obvious to me where it is.
Are you referring to the Have Your Say event?
No.
So
Regional event.
all regional feedback will be presented on the 29th of April. So on the first part of the day, the Tupuna Maunga will come in and you'll jointly hear the Tupuna Maunga feedback, and then it'll just go into finance and performance where you'll hear all of the regional feedback, including the regional stakeholders' feedback.
How many hours does that set aside? Because that's quite a long list, and I'm not quite. I mean, how long are we giving these key stakeholders to present on these key regional questions?
So the regional stakeholder event is planned for the 11th of March, and I believe there's 4 hours allocated to this. I would need to double check the date of the 29th of April, but that's a summary of all of the feedback.
Chair, I don't think this needs to be resolved now, but it's important that, and look, I've got some issue with key stakeholders anyway, but that if we're having a key stakeholders event, these people are not coming in for a 5-minute presentation plus 2 questions. This needs to be, we need to be providing sufficient time for all of those parties that wish to present on the budget and the propositions contained therein, to be able to do so in a way where it's not a rushed exercise. That is the closest occasion that we will come to, apart from the feedback from the Tupuna Maunga Authority, where we will actually have a sort of pseudo hearing. So I think that we do need to ensure that there is sufficient time for all of those stakeholders.
I think that's reasonable. There's about 15 minutes I think we have for everybody. 27, 4 hours, give or take.
So
some will take more, some will.
The date is what? The dates are what?
The 11th of March.
All right, Councillor?
And the one other comment, I guess, is that are we going to, are these key stakeholders, are we foreshadowing with them the opportunity for them to provide information and submission documents which will be circulated to councillors in advance of that?
We can request, but we can't enforce. Yes.
All right, Councillor, we can do it actually, more or less. Any other, no further questions, so I'll offer comments. Any comments? Right, then I will then move. Item 7, do I have a seconder? Deputy Chair, all those favour say aye. Aye. Against? No. Noted, 1 against, Councillor Fletcher.